Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, as you probably guessed, this Newjeans drama is far from cooling down. In fact, it's heating up even more, and I mean seriously heating up. Things have just taken another sharp turn, and it's all surrounding a brand new and extremely serious consequence that's just been added to the already messy and chaotic legal case between Newjeans and Adore. And honestly, this latest update could change everything moving forward. So here's what's going on. It has now been officially confirmed, yes, confirmed by the court, that if Newjeans violates the current court ruling, which, as a reminder, recognizes Adore as their legal management company and strictly prohibits them from engaging in any kind of independent activity whatsoever, there will be a massive fine. And when I say massive, I mean massive to the point where it sounds unreal. We're talking 1 billion Korean won per member. That's not for the whole group, that's per individual member. When converted, that comes out to roughly $720,000 each. Yes, you heard that correctly. If even one of the members breaks the court's ruling by doing anything independently, like signing an endorsement deal without Adore, performing under their alternate group name NJZ, releasing content, doing brand promotions, or even hinting at operating outside the agency's control, they could be hit with a fine that's close to $1 million per person. Let that sink in. We're not just talking about a warning or a slap on the wrist anymore. This is a real, enforceable financial punishment, and it's huge. This isn't just a cautionary note in a legal document somewhere. This is a court-backed, enforceable ruling with teeth, and those teeth bite hard. It's the court's way of saying, you want to ignore our decision? Fine, but it's going to cost you, literally. Now, for some context. This specific court ruling, the one that prevents Newjeans from acting independently, has actually been in place since back in March. That's when the court originally sided with Adore and granted them an injunction that officially confirmed them as the group's legal management company. Under that injunction, Newjeans wasn't allowed to take on any activities outside of Adore's control. That meant no solo gigs, no independent brand deals, no concerts under the NJZ label, nothing, unless it was run through Adore first. But here's where things get interesting. For months after that March ruling, there wasn't any specific punishment tied to breaking the injunction. The assumption, at least on the court's part, seems to have been that Newjeans and their team would follow the order voluntarily. Maybe out of respect for the legal process, maybe out of caution, maybe just to keep things from spiraling out of control. But clearly, that didn't happen. Instead, what we've seen is the group continuing to move in ways that suggest they're distancing themselves more and more from Adore's management. Just recently, they performed publicly under the name NJZ, which, if you've been following this case, you'll know is the alternate name they've been using for activities that appear independent from Adore. On top of that, they've promoted merch under the NJZ name, and they've held appearances that many people are interpreting as unsanctioned promotions. That kind of public behavior didn't go unnoticed. In fact, it likely triggered the court to step in and say, okay, that's enough. You've crossed the line. And that's what led to this massive fine being added as part of what's called an indirect enforcement procedure. So what exactly does that mean? In simple terms, it means that going forward, any violation of the March injunction can result in this enormous financial penalty. It doesn't require another trial, another debate, or another ruling. The fine can be immediately applied. It's the court saying, if you're not going to take this seriously on your own, then we'll make sure you feel the consequences. It adds real pressure, and it gives the original injunction more force behind it. Now, in response to all of this, Newjeans did release an official statement, which, let's be honest, was most likely drafted carefully by their legal team. And it's definitely worth breaking down, because it gives us insight into how they're planning to fight this. In the statement, they said, the indirect compulsory order issued today is related to the original injunction decision made on March 21st, which prohibited independent activities, and follows Adore's application on April 4th for an indirect enforcement measure. It is not a decision related to the appeal that was filed immediately against the original injunction, which is currently under separate legal review. So basically, what they're saying here is that this fine and the enforcement order aren't tied to their appeal. It's a separate process, a follow-up to Adore's request from April 4th asking the court to enforce the original injunction more strictly. The appeal they filed against that March ruling, that's still ongoing and hasn't been decided yet. They added this next part too. Today's indirect enforcement decision is temporary and will remain in effect only until the court rules on the injunction appeal. If the Newjeans members win the appeal case, both the original injunction and the indirect enforcement order will lose their effect. In practice, when an injunction is granted, an accompanying indirect enforcement order is often issued as well. Now here's where things start to get a bit more complicated. Newjeans and their lawyers are clearly trying to frame this whole thing as temporary. They're acting like the fine isn't a big deal because they're confident they'll win the appeal anyway. And sure, maybe that confidence is real. Maybe they do have a strong case behind the scenes that we haven't seen yet, but we also have to be honest about the current reality. They haven't won anything yet. As of right now, the injunction is still in place. That means Newjeans is still legally under Adore's management, and the court has upheld that relationship. So while their legal team may want this to be temporary, nothing is temporary until the court actually says it is. Until then, the rules apply, and they apply hard. So all this talk about how the fine will be irrelevant soon soon, it feels a little risky, even borderline delusional, because again, this isn't speculation. This is an actual court decision with financial teeth, and pretending like it's already on its way out, that could backfire badly if things don't go the way they're hoping. Also, this part is key. The reason this fine even exists now is because ADOR pushed for it. ADOR filed the request for indirect enforcement, so clearly they're not sitting back and watching Newjeans do whatever they want. They're actively fighting this in court and demanding consequences when the rules are broken. And you know what? The court agreed. The court granted ADOR's request. That's huge. It shows that the court currently views ADOR's position as valid, at least procedurally and legally. That's not a minor detail. It's a major win for ADOR, and one that paints a pretty clear picture of where things currently stand. Personally, I still hold out hope that some kind of settlement or behind-the-scenes resolution is being worked on, because if this continues the way it's going, it's only going to get worse. This is a lose-lose situation the longer it drags out, and frankly, Newjeans' chances of winning this appeal don't look especially great at the moment, especially when you look at how the court has ruled up until now. And this new fine? It doesn't exactly scream, the court is leaning in your favor. All we can do at this point is wait for the next official development, which is scheduled to happen on June 5th. That's the date of the next hearing, and it could be a major turning point, or it could just confirm everything that's already in place. Either way, that date is going to be critical, and I'll be right here covering every single detail the moment it drops. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think it was the right call for the court to impose this kind of fine on Newjeans? Was it fair? Was it necessary? Or was it an extreme overreach? Was it too harsh? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm seriously curious to hear what everyone thinks about this. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this update and want to keep following this wild and honestly intense legal battle between Newjeans and ADOR, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. You're the real MVPs, and I'll see you in the next update. Bye for now.